Innovate Albuquerque is meant to be the new center of New Mexico and the center for entrepreneurial excellence for New Mexico. We're using the power of density, the principle of density, to get all of the entrepreneurs, innovators, folks with resources all in one place to share ideas and create companies. So the four major components are Innovate Albuquerque, Innovation Central, the Innovation Academy, and ABQID. So Innovate Albuquerque, we're standing on that 7.2 acre site, the old First Baptist site, right at the center of the Rail Runner and old Route 66. Innovation Central is both the geographic area that has as part of it our mass transit, our bus rapid transit system, high-speed internet. It has WEST, it has our accelerators, it has our incubators, it has our entertainment district, a theater district, an arts district, all those things that are going to make Innovate Albuquerque successful. We're looking for adventurous companies, adventurous company executives, adventurous workers who may work for other companies, adventurous people who think differently. Invite them here to this wide open spaces and with all this culturally rich environment to help them think up new things to do. But that's not to neglect the people who are already here. We need to help people self-identify as entrepreneurs. Many people have a misconception about entrepreneurism. They think that entrepreneurs fly around in jet planes, taking unreasonable risks with other people's money. That's not what entrepreneurs are. Entrepreneurs are people who are passionate about what they do, it's others focused, and they're specifically wired to do the job so they don't burn out. One of the big deals about ABQID. The ID stands for identify. People who should be entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs who should start businesses, small business startups who should become successful job creators, potentially our next unicorns. A unicorn being a business that creates a valuation of $1 billion or more. And it identifies Albuquerque as a place for innovators, for thinkers to be and create businesses. So part of ABQID is to do that. We're going to take a dozen companies and run them through a known process for 90 days that increases the odds of success from 2 out of 10, which is the national average with no support and not following a process, to 6, 7, or 8 out of 10. So we need to take the people who are already here in Albuquerque, the principal investigators at Sandia National Labs, the graduate students from UNM, the immigrants that are here in the International District, the street sweeper that has a better idea for a broom, the construction worker that has a better idea for a nail gun. Those are the kind of things that we want to help and create. We want to democratize entrepreneurship and really help those folks achieve their dreams and to take their ideas and make companies out of them. Job seekers into job creators. We're not trying to recreate Silicon Valley here. Silicon Valley would be inappropriate. That's not who we are. What we're doing is creating a scene here that is going to be the Entrepreneurial Excellence Center for New Mexico. And that's not Silicon Valley. That's our own unique attributes coming here. We're good at things like photonics, optronics, we're good at aerospace. We need to build on the things that we're good at here. We want to look to things that make sense for Albuquerque. We love high tech here because there's $5 billion of research and development that gets put into the state of New Mexico every year. So of course we're going to have a high tech bent, just like we have an entrepreneurial bent. On the other hand, we are not here to say that high tech is the only answer. As a matter of fact, there's 4 types of entrepreneurs. There's the micro enterprise. That's the single person. That's like an accountant or an attorney or somebody who does things on their own, and maybe they outsource bookkeeping or whatever. It's kind of a solopreneur, if you will. Then there's the Main Streeters. The Main Streeters are people who are like retail, restaurants, bakeries, barbershops, those great things that are the backbone of America. They employ maybe 2 to 25 people. Then you have your second stage. Second stage companies are those that have figured out how to take something local and make it regional or national or even international. And we really enjoy our second stage companies here, and we want to support all of our companies to get to that second stage if they want to. And then you've got your innovative companies. They're high tech, the ones you hear about. The ones you hear about nationally, like Facebook and Google, the ones you hear about locally, like Titan Aerospace, that just got a bidding war between Google and Facebook to purchase them, and they're staying right here. Our job is to make sure that we build an ecosystem so that those big thinkers, those people who think differently, can actually be supported and create their jobs here.
Partnering with public and private backers, the University of New Mexico secured more than $6 million to buy a 7.2-acre site at Central and Broadway. Supporters chose the site following an extensive analysis by the Albuquerque firm Decker, Parrish, Sabatini and a national consulting company from Atlanta, Perkins & Will, to determine the best location in the city for an innovation center.
We looked at a variety of sites, including Mesa del Sol, sites along Lomas by the Health Science Center and the new hospital. We also looked at sites on the east edge of the campus along Central. But it really became apparent after analyzing all of the sites that the site that rose to the top was the Central Broadway site for the First Baptist Church. And the reason that site really lends itself to an innovation center is that it has all of the ingredients. It's a walkable urban area. It has great connectivity with mass transit, and with the proposed bus rapid transit moving on Central, it can move people throughout the community and connect the university with downtown. So really, Innovate ABQ is the heartbeat of a large idea around innovation, entrepreneurship, and creativity in our community. Place matters, and in this case, the place is a very walkable urban area that's connected with mass transit, pedestrian amenities, and those activities of daily living that are within walking distance. So those are the things that really makes it work. Something else that makes it work is the fact that it's right there at the Rail Runner. Rail Runner connects us to Santa Fe, and Santa Fe now is connected to Innovate ABQ. So it's not just a city center, but it also can be a regional hub for innovation and entrepreneurship. And I think that's really how people envision this, that it's a much greater thing than just a site, but the site and where it happens is so essential to attracting talent, people, and ideas. And today's people and entrepreneurs, they're looking for those kind of connected urban places to start their business and to see their ideas come to fruition. This site really is at ground zero in our community in a lot of regards. It's on historic Route 66. It's very close to the Alvarado Transportation Center. And what's interesting about the east side of the railroad track is it didn't suffer from urban renewal like the west side of our railroad tracks did in the 1970s.
Part of it was the proximity to downtown, proximity to the university. Part of it was what already was going on in that region. You have a lot of development going on in terms of availability of housing, of restaurants, of retail, of really, the venture funds, the incubation that's kind of already starting there. And then part of it's the development potential, other sites that were available for development in that area. So it was identified as a kind of a unique site that offered a lot of current as well as future potential.
To make Innovate Albuquerque a success, the city will rely on collaboration with a number of public and private entities, chief among them STC.UNM, a subsidiary of the University of New Mexico. STC specializes in technology transfer, and its core mission is to commercialize the research generated within the university and help launch new businesses based on that technology.
STC has been in business since 1995, and it's a long-term process. It does take many years to really get new, very early stage technologies to market. So we've been at this for quite some time. Our most recent fiscal year, just to give you some numbers to kind of gauge what we're doing, we had about 140 new inventions, new ideas from the university, and we look at those. We transfer about 60 of those, not necessarily those from that particular year, they're usually from prior years, to industry. We started 9 new companies, 7 of them in New Mexico, and there's a whole variety of products now that are out there on the market. President Frank sees what STC is doing as extremely valuable. we want to contribute even more to the economic impact of our region, and we think we can do so. In order to do that, one way we can do so is to really partner more so with the other people in our business community, in our entrepreneurial community, in the government sectors, to build this more dense live, work, play community.
I think a large part of why this is going to work is we're really concentrating on pulling people together in true collaborations. I think a lot of people have tried to do things individually, but what the mayor's main emphasis has been on is how do we pull together the private sector, foundations, Sandia National Labs, our academic institutions, UNM, CNM. How do we pull everybody together and really do things together? You know, we're too small and we don't have enough people to not work together. And that's the key. And I think that's what's really you can feel the buzz in the community now about working together and having a common vision and alignment and really getting something done.
Innovate Albuquerque will bring entrepreneurs, mentors, workspaces, and technology together in one concentrated district, providing a laboratory for success. But quality of life is also important. For the so-called millennials, the entrepreneurs of the future, living in a walkable environment complemented by efficient mass transit is key, along with a stimulating cultural scene, nightlife, and other amenities.
The scene that we're trying to create here at Innovate Albuquerque is one of entrepreneurism and to create a buzz like the mayor talks about with a beehive of activity, because we know the more people connect and talk and interrelate with each other, the more jobs will be created. So when the vision for this campus, and it'll be done in phases, is to have a great auditorium to share ideas. It's going to be having a WeWork space where people, even individual entrepreneurs, are doing their work together so they can bounce ideas off each other. A maker space where people can take their ideas and make them into solid form. Think high school shop class with woodworking, metalworking, and some 3D printers. Part of the vision might be to enter through a microbrewery. By the way, Albuquerque is now #1 for microbrewery and taproom startups per capita in the country. And have a microbrewery / coffee shop where you enter into the campus, and the person behind the bar is going to look at you and say, so your name is Tony? Oh, you know what? What do you do again? Oh, you got to go meet Steve over here because you guys are doing similar things. And so it'll be intentional collaboration and matchmaking of ideas with each other. And that's the kind of vibe that we're trying to create here. There will be people living on this campus. There'll be students. Carol Parker and Chalky Abdallah's vision for Innovation Academy is to have students living on this campus, learning entrepreneurism and innovation from day one and freshman class, not just for the engineering students and the business students, but for the geography and the geology and the art and the history students. And creating an innovation academy here. There will also be other folks living here in apartments that come from all over the world to share ideas and to share technical achievements and resources and ideas with other people that are already here. Any place that you want to attract people to needs to have 21st century amenities. So we're going to create an entertainment district just across the railroad tracks right here. We've got an RFP out for a developer to come in and put a 21st century amenities in, you know, like a 16th Street Mall in Colorado, in Denver, or Baltimore Live, or Downtown Disney, where there are high-end restaurants and shops and bars and dry cleaners and places that the things that people need to be attracted to be here and to stay here and to collaborate here. It turns out that, again, as we're trying to create the mayor's vision here of using the principle of density, if people are off working by themselves, you know, they don't have near the amount of ideas or the synergies of startups as they do as when they're working closely together. So our job is to create that environment where people get together, they're brought together, they share their ideas, and create that real ecosystem. It would create a startup community where people support each other's risk-taking and moving forward in innovation, because the more people get that sense that other people around them are doing it, then they do it too.
There's a lot of research that says when you put more companies, more people, more entrepreneurs together in one site, you're going to have more activity. Right now, what's happening, while we're being pretty successful in starting companies, they're tending to spread out all over our city. And so if you look at other regions, they have been more successful in concentrating their economic higher tech activity in one part, generally closer to downtown. That's what we want to do here.
Traditional economic development strategies rely on tax breaks and other incentives to lure established companies to the state, with hopes the ripple effect of that investment will boost the economy and provide jobs. Innovate Albuquerque takes a different tack. Participants will focus on growing our own entrepreneurs and businesses in the belief that this strategy will ensure long-term economic benefits for the region.
There's 5 components to economic development. There's business development, workforce talent development, community development, a culture of entrepreneurship development, and capital development. On the workforce talent development side, we literally have to teach entrepreneurism and help people self-identify as entrepreneurs and see that that is a valid path for them to go forward. So that's why we're reaching into the high schools with our pilot programs at Amy Beal. That's why we're going into 7th and 8th graders. My wife, who's a former APS teacher, says, you know, that's one of the places we lose kids is in middle school in 7th and 8th grade. So the Microsoft program, the DigiGirls, DigiDudes, and Youth Sparks, they really are concentrating on that age group to get them involved with STEM activities. So making sure that we've got a continuum that produces at the other end the kind of workforce that not only can create companies but can be attractive to other companies who either want to come here or expand here, or even our ones that we've grown our own to be able to take from the current population. That's all very important.
The academic piece that is a companion here is called the Innovation Academy, and that actually will be an interdisciplinary program led by our provost's office, and that will include Anderson as well as the other colleges and units. It will be built around innovation. It will be built around experiential learning. There will be a dorm, a living learning community on the site where students can participate in all kinds of entrepreneurial events as part of Innovate ABQ. One of the things we think we can really start to expand is the efforts on creating student-led businesses. And so students will have an opportunity through many programs at Innovate ABQ to explore the idea of starting their own business even while they're in school. This won't be for everybody, but some students really have this entrepreneurial bug and they want to know, is this something that's for me? I can intern with a startup, I can take courses, I can learn by doing, I can try out, I can get some funding and maybe try out my own ideas. I have worked in several other universities as well as in the private sector, and I started my career actually in Silicon Valley, and I worked at Stanford University in their technology transfer office, so I've seen kind of the private university side of it in an area where if you were a graduate student at Stanford and you weren't thinking of starting a company by the time you graduated, there was something kind of wrong. The people said, well, why aren't you starting a company? So the culture was quite different, and there were investors crawling all over the university looking for deals.
In November 2013, Albuquerque voters approved $2 million in funding for Innovate Albuquerque. Subsequently, the New Mexico Educators Federal Credit Union pledged $3 million. STC received $1.5 million from the Federal Economic Development Administration. The University of New Mexico Regents approved $7.3 million for purchase of and master planning for the Central Broadway site. And in February of 2014, Bernalillo County approved $1 million for the project.
One of the things that the mayor keeps talking about is, keep them safe, help them succeed. And we want to do that in the most cost-effective way and efficient way for our taxpayers. So our investment that the taxpayers made the commitment of for this site is being leveraged not only for UNM and the private sector, but a national EDA grant for $1.5 million. So, and then from here we're going to get more private sector development, more private sector partners to be able to come alongside and make this into a self-sustaining project that will create jobs and opportunities for people far into the future. One of the things that we're trying to accomplish with this is to get some national attention on Albuquerque so that other people around the country know us as innovators and collaborators and people who are really entrepreneurial. Mayor had wanted me to make this the most entrepreneurial city in the country. Part of the credibility that we're getting is by getting Living Cities to say, you know what, we believe something's happening here. Kauffman Foundation, partnering with them. The White House and folks in Washington are seeing some of the things that we're doing with Talent ABQ and some of the economic development activities that we have here. So we're getting some credibility from the nation that we are actually innovative, entrepreneurial, and the kind of place that those good big ideas come out of.
I think we all know things don't happen overnight. This project will be developed in phases, probably over the next 5 to 10 years. But as activity accelerates at this site, as people begin to populate this site, through it be the university's program around an innovation academy or the city's program around entrepreneurship, but also as the private sector begins to bring resources to this site with housing and commercial and other activities, that really, I believe, will set this on a very rapid pace.
And it's very exciting to see what's already starting to happen, even before we've begun to develop that core site. The Innovation District doesn't really have any boundaries at this point. At some point, I suppose it will, but you can see projects like Fat Pipe, the IT incubator that Stu Rose is developing, ABQ ID, the initiative that Verge is beginning, the accelerator, the CNM's initiative to bring a stimulus center downtown, an arts incubator project. There are just many other things that are being developed around the kind of that core site.
The attractions of Albuquerque are obvious. Awesome landscapes, great weather, and cultural diversity. But that's not all.
Something that we have that nobody else has is our quality of place. We have some of the best weather in the United States. We're a magnet for entrepreneurs and ideas in the Southwest. And I think it's this kind of place that can help capitalize on bringing individuals, bringing entrepreneurs, bringing private sector capital to build this next economy for our community.
One of the advantages that we have in New Mexico is that we have people that want to live here. And those folks are people who maybe have vacationed here, or they've been here, maybe they've had a second home in Santa Fe, and they have been successful entrepreneurs in other parts of the country. So for those companies I mentioned we've been starting over the last 10 years or so, 48 of them are still in business, and 40% of those companies have been started by what we call transplant entrepreneurs. These are people who have moved to New Mexico and they have started business here, and they are successful entrepreneurs in those industries. And that's a big advantage that we have here in New Mexico. Another advantage that we have here is that we have this entrepreneurial personality. There was a study in 2013 in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that looked at personality traits across the nation. They studied 600,000 people, and they looked at personality traits for entrepreneurial behavior. And they looked at 5 personality traits. They actually ranked states based on these personality traits, and they're not linked just to high tech. They're just general entrepreneurial personality traits. New Mexico ranks 8th in the country. So it's great. It's one of these lists that we're not near the bottom on, we're near the top. And so I love it. So we are an entrepreneurial state, and I think that's an advantage we have for our Innovate project, because that is going to be about all kinds of entrepreneurial businesses, not just high tech.
We do have an entrepreneurial personality, and all you have to do is look back on our history with Oppenheimer and Bill Gates and Paul Allen and all the people that have come before. This environment is great. It's not just a great climate weather-wise, it's a great climate to try new things. You can do anything here, and people will be accepting. right? We're a little weird here. We like new ideas. The wide open spaces. I mean, when you come here, the first thing when people get off the plane here, they go, wow. I mean, even when it's cloudy, it seems like they're 20 miles away. I can think differently here. And that's the kind of people that are attracted to and stay in New Mexico. And that's the kind of people that are entrepreneurial. We do have an entrepreneurial personality. Imagine in Albuquerque where people come up with ideas and they're so supported by the community that those ideas actually turn into products. Those products turn into companies. Those companies turn into job creators. That's the kind of community that we want to build.
Well, I am very optimistic about this project, and I think it's because I've been here in New Mexico 11 years, and I have seen the growth, the building of this entrepreneurial ecosystem. For a long time, it was kind of in the background. A lot of folks probably just didn't notice it happening. It was kind of under the radar. But we've been seeing a lot of people moving here, starting these businesses, and they are starting to get some critical mass. And I think our entrepreneurial community is really starting to become noticed as some of the new movers and shakers in our business community. That is starting to change the dynamics here. And I think we're now starting to see more integration of our established and our entrepreneurial communities in various business events. And I also see more collaboration than I've seen before among the educational, the business sectors, the governmental sectors. People are just communicating more, they're attending more events together. They may not always agree on the best strategies for things, but people seem to be working together in a more collaborative manner than I have seen in a long time.
This is a game changer for our community, and if you look at how other economies are being built around the country, they're being built around innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Our economy has been primarily focused around the government sector, Sandia National Labs, Los Alamos National Labs, Air Force Research Labs. But I think we realize as a community we can no longer depend upon those to be the backbone. They're a huge part of our economy and will always be a huge part of our economy. But now we have a new challenge in front of us, and that's really to build a much more vibrant and strong private sector economy. So to me, the opportunity for our community really is to restructure our economy around innovation and the companies that will start here, the ideas that will come to fruition here. By capturing those ideas and those people, it brings wealth, jobs, and all sorts of other benefits to our community that will last for years to come.